Oops, I did it again. A cold intro. Hang on, let me go through the usual routine. Hold on just a second. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. And here we are. It is Tuesday, July 7th, and as always, we get together every morning, 10:30, live here on Facebook, to look at what's going on in the world near and far, to see how the headlines and stories affect us living here in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community. And it was great to have a broadcast yesterday so many people joined, and I saw some new faces yesterday. And as always, my name is Paco, and I welcome your comments and suggestions. And if you happen to be new to this broadcast, please let us know by saying new in your comments so that we can give you the appropriate welcome. Let us know where you're from. Let us know how you found out about Coffee and Headlines. Since there are so many people joining our community here at Coffee and Headlines, I thought I would talk a little bit about how this project came about. Coffee and Headlines started out of my daily morning routine. Every morning, I wake up and grab a cup of coffee and start looking at headlines that are going on around the world. Why? Because number one, I'm a curious person. I want to stay well informed. Number two, it helps me build my website where I write articles that might be of interest to the local English-speaking community. And one day I figured, well, maybe other people might actually enjoy looking at the headlines with me. And it was on March 31st that we broadcast Coffee and Headlines live for the first time. I go back and look at that broadcast, and I was stilted, and I was nervous, and I was awkward, and I still get very nervous every morning because I want to keep things fresh and happy and productive and constructive for most people. Soon after Coffee and Headlines started, I realized that a number of you find enough value in what goes on here that you supported through membership. You supported through the Buy Me a Coffee website. And this makes Coffee and Headlines a community-sponsored, community-supported project. And yesterday, some of the remarks that I read made me think a lot about that and a lot about the responsibility of building a community where you feel nurtured, where you feel inspired, where you feel safe, where you feel you can get information you can trust. And that's a responsibility that I don't take lightly, and it's a responsibility that I enjoy because it's a two-way street. The vast majority of you nurture me with your comments, with your ideas, with your suggestions. And we must be doing something right because we have close to 1,000 followers on 1,000 people that like the page. I don't even look at the numbers. We have a huge number of people that follow the page, and that makes me very, very proud and very, very happy. Very quickly, I see that Michelle has no sound. Is everybody able to hear me? Is anybody not able to hear me? Please let me know. So anyhow, this is what Coffee and Headlines is about. It is a place where we get together and we exchange news and headlines. We try to stay informed. We try to stay optimistic about what we're doing. and I love it. I enjoy it very much. But like when you go to the movies and you stay till the end of the credits stop rolling, after every broadcast or after just about every broadcast, I come back and look at your comments and at least acknowledge every single one of them with a like. Sometimes I respond, sometimes I appreciate them. Um, but yesterday, something really interesting happened because somebody showed up um, on the website, and his name is John Rexinger. And I don't know this gentleman. We're not friends on Facebook. I don't have the pleasure of knowing him. I think he lives in New York or Manhattan, or somewhere thereabouts. And and he dropped a couple of really precious nuggets and contributions on the program yesterday that made me ponder about my responsibility to create a comfortable, nurturing environment for you. Let's take a look. There was this one in which I had just talked about, long time ago when I used to get frisky on the beach in Provincetown many years ago when I lived in Boston, and he responded to a comment that my friend Earl made. Now, I want to tell you about my friend Earl for a second. Earl and I went to college together, and that was about 30 years ago. No, I want to leave this on so that you can read it. Earl and I went to college together a million years ago, and when we were in college, he had this red truck. And on weekends, we would just hop on his truck and drive it wherever we wanted. And he would always drive, of course. And on his truck, we discovered amazing places, parks, forests outside of Boston and in New Hampshire, all kinds of places. And the beautiful thing about riding with Earl on his truck, and we loved each other very much then, and we still do. But the beautiful thing about riding and going on car trips with my friend Earl is that we never knew where we were going to end up. But I always felt safe because my friend was driving the car. And 30 years later, I continue to draw on that memory and on that feeling. When days are gray or when things feel uncertain, one of the memories that I drive to that help me feel safe, that remind me that things are going to be okay, comes from my friend Earl. So, John Rexinger, I really hope you get to live long enough to develop long, nurturing feelings like that. Let's take a look at another one. Especially the porn scenes in Provincetown. I don't know who talked about porn scenes in Provincetown. I don't know where that came from. And John, if I gave you the impression that that this was a place where you could just come in here and drop things like that, please, accept my apology because I don't know where I went wrong. Maybe you can chime in and let us know what on earth did I say that made you feel entitled to say something like that, not to me, but to this community, because it's not about me. I don't give a shit. I don't know who you are, but you are here dropping your charming poetry on this community that I've worked so hard to build for my friends. And then there was this one about my rant about Spanish works making Spanish people ashamed of him. I'm so happy that I haven't received any comments or complaints from Spanish people. I thought you should know that. If you felt unable to stomach my talking about my past sex life, which was absolutely yummy, by the way, I was very quick to remind you that if you don't like this channel, John, just switch to another channel, man. Nobody is forcing you to stay here. And then this one was the one that really amused me. Paul Christ, we have a saying in New York, don't shit where you sleep. Let me tell you why I have a problem with that, John Rexinger. We all have to shit, and we have to shit somewhere. And the world is fucked up because of people that think that because they don't want to shit in their own backyard, they can go and shit in somebody else's. Now, you're welcome to figure out where you want to shit, but you don't get to shit on my backyard. And again, if I gave you the impression that you could shit on my backyard, I truly, truly apologize. But again, this is not about me, John Rexinger. It's about the community that we're trying to build here. So the poll today is, do we ban John Rexinger from coffee and headlines? Again, I don't care. You're not hurting my feelings, but you're messing up with a community that I'm trying to build. So community, or cluster, as Claude tends to call you, please vote on this, and we will swiftly act on what needs to happen next so that we can continue with our wonderful day today. Okay, yes, we will count to 10, and then we will publish this, and we will very swiftly nip this in the bud. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, John Rexinger, 90% of the people that voted that you should go away. And because I personally don't think you deserve more time or publicity or acknowledgement on this website, let me very quickly find you, John Rexinger. Let us find you and very quickly ban you from coffee and headlines so that we don't have to enjoy your poetry anymore. If anybody has any parting thoughts for John Rexinger, please feel free to share them. Again, John, no hard feelings, but this is not a place where comments like you are welcome, certainly not while we're trying to build a community that is inspiring and nurturing. Let's see, let's find a John Rexinger comment from yesterday. Give me just 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I may not be able to do this on the fly, but if I cannot do this on the fly, you know what? I'm not even going to waste your precious time on this. I am going to very quickly move on with the show unless we can find a remark of his. Let me try 10 more seconds. Nope. Okay. Then we will not waste any more time on this because why should we? Let us move on with our news. And please know that just as soon as this broadcast is over, we will take care of things very swiftly. Okay, you'll be happy to know, among the headlines that caught my attention today, that our governor, Enrique Alfaro, is among the 8 best governors, according to a poll produced by a company called Matovsky. Matovsky is an agency that commonly polls our governors and sees who has approval and who doesn't have approval. And it's comforting to know that as rough and temperamental and passionate as our governor can be, um, he is among those governors that are very well appreciated in our country. And it's comforting for us as Jaliscienses to know this fact. I wanted you to know that, of course, President Lopez Obrador is headed to Washington, I believe, today or tomorrow to meet with Donald Trump. President Lopez Obrador has tested negative for COVID-19, a requirement for his trip. And it is interesting to see that Justin Trudeau from Canada, has declined the invitation to take part on this particular get together. I don't know enough about the politics going on between Canada and the United States to know or to even guess as to why Trudeau decided to decline the invitation. But what is nice to know is that Trudeau has accepted an invitation to come and visit Lopez Obrador here in here in Puerto Vallarta, not here in Puerto Vallarta, here in Mexico. So it'll be wonderful to know what comes about. Again, I don't know much about Trudeau, but I think he's a nice guy. I mean, if anybody wants to talk to me about Trudeau at some point and just illuminate me on him, but I mean, I know that he's a good guy, and I know that his wife tested positive for COVID-19, and I've seen him involved in gay community things, and so I certainly hope that he can build a good relationship with our president moving forward. I want you to know that we continue to receive a lot of tourism because the beaches in Nayarit continue to be closed, and this is something that, you know, as we know, is a good thing for our economy, but it's also thought-provoking because we see people, sometimes they're taking care of themselves, sometimes they're not taking care of themselves. Parenthetically, I had lunch at Barracuda yesterday. And if you're a beach goer, Barracuda is in Colonia Cinco de Diciembre. Needless to say, the beach in Cinco de Diciembre is not nearly as nice as Los Muertos. There are not as many amenities, but there was a surprisingly small number of people enjoying the beach in Colonia Cinco de Diciembre. And there are a handful of places where you can enjoy the beach and sit at a palapa and enjoy yourself and so forth and so on. So if you've been wanting to go to the beach in Puerto Vallarta and are feeling a little concerned that a lot of people are going to Los Muertos, you know, stop by Cinco de Diciembre and walk the beach. It may be for you, it may not be for you, but it is something that you may want to just keep in mind moving forward. We also learn from the local CANIRAC agency, CANIRAC being the national organization that represents the interest of restaurants, it's the National Restaurant Association, that restaurants will not be able to increase their capacity until next month. Restaurants will continue to operate at 50% capacity and will continue to operate at such capacity through the rest of this month. Let us hope that this changes, and I'm happy to see that many restaurants have been enjoying a lot of success, and let us hope that that this continues to happen that way. The comment that made Aldo de Anda Garcia, who's the president of the Jalisco-based Restaurant Association, is that we are now aware of the fact that this is a marathon and it's not a speed race, and all restaurant owners understand that June and July are going to be the months in which we have to work under these conditions. So cater to restaurants as much as you can, as much as you feel safe in doing so, because in doing that, we will be helping to support our economy. I understand that restaurants are not for everybody just yet, but many restaurants are offering takeout. If you find it possible to support restaurants, if your economy allows for that, please try to do that. Oh, by the way, I try to get to Siam cuisine last night for some pad thai, and of course I never bothered to read on Facebook that they close on Mondays. But I sure hope to have a chance to do that in the near future. Um, President of Brazil, Bolsonaro is his last name. I don't know his first name, but Jair Bolsonaro. He's been under a lot of hot water because he has disregarded the importance of COVID-19 and his country has suffered. Again, I haven't read many details, but I did read that he has symptoms of COVID 19, and he has had tests done, and the results of the tests are going to be revealed today. We don't wish this virus on anyone, but it would be a bittersweet irony that the president of this country that has been so casual about um, about the whole virus, and the results of that attitude have been very visible in Brazil. It would be bittersweet that he ends up contracting the virus. I hope that is not the case because we shouldn't wish this virus on anyone, of course. In Puerto Vallarta, as a result of the numbers released yesterday, um, parties are continued to be forbidden. Access to public spaces continues as such. We mentioned yesterday that Pitillal Plaza was cordoned off to the public, and so was Plaza Lázaro Cárdenas. And our mayor mentioned in the following on his own personal Facebook page. He said, unfortunately, misinformation and ignorance related to COVID 19 creates the increase in risk of spreading the disease, damaging the health of citizens, and even taking the lives of some without regard of their age or social condition. Please help us protect our health and that of our loved ones, following the guidelines from our authorities. Our health is not a game. That's what the mayor said. Of course, we know that today our governor, Enrique Alfaro, is going to make some statements about the results of the numbers. And these are the statements that he would have given on Sunday. But of course, when Sunday's numbers were not favorable, he decided to postpone his announcement for sometime today. Before we jump into more leisurely stuff, let me just take a quick look at your comments. As always, it is great to see so many of you here, and I so much appreciate all the comments that you share. Of course, the number of comments are increasing. Today, we are joined by 176 other people, which makes me very happy. I sure hope for all of those people that are tuning in that you're going to find something useful or inspiring here. Your comments are always welcome. Barra de Marino suggested, okay. William says that somebody suggested the show. That's nice to know. William, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. You mentioned that the sound is good. That's good to know. I understand that sometimes some of you have problems with the sound. Recently, somebody commented on that, and I try to turn it up as much as possible without distorting the sound. I think whoever had the sound problem was able to resolve it. This is absolutely wonderful. More comments about our friend from New York. I don't think we need to spend any time on those. Boom, 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 boom. Dee, 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 dee. More comments about thanking me. I also don't think I appreciate all your thanks, but this is not about me. I mean, what you say when you say nice things about what we're doing here, I don't want you to think that I'm disregarding them. I just don't want to draw attention to me. But I really very much appreciate all the kind remarks that you share with me. They nurture me very much, and they give value and purpose to what we're doing. Although Rita thinks that we should not cancel him, Rita, I'm going to beg to disagree. I, it's No, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I choose my friends very carefully, and if I get shit about this because I am blocking people from here, you know, I'd rather have 10 of you than have 200 of you to worry about. Honestly. Ba, ba, da, ba, 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 bum. Okay, okay, okay. Our president is being irresponsible. Oh dear, Christopher. Things are so complicated in the United States right now, and there's so many divisions in the way people think and feel, and it's going to be a challenging thing for you. Um, and this is an interesting comment from Mark. The fact that Trudeau will visit Mexico answers the why. Again, that is my hunch, but again, I don't know enough about international politics, so I don't think it's my place to know, which is why I appreciate um, so much your comments because you enlighten me on these kinds of matters. I'm so glad to see that a lot of you think to seem to approve of Justin Trudeau. I certainly think he seems like a very nice guy, and if he's doing good things for Canada, I think that's absolutely wonderful. Sean O'Brien mentions that he was at Playa Palmares yesterday and it was empty. Thank you very much for that. Um, this is wonderful news. Bum, ba-ding, bum, 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 bum. Okay, if I'm not getting to every single one of your comments, please don't take it personal. Oh, DM Van Pelt. Hello, DM Van Pelt. Tells us that the woman who coughed on the baby was fired from her school district. Good for them, and shame on her. Boom, ba-ding, bum, bim, bum, 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 bum. Um, I appreciate that you are protecting the community and the dialogue of courtesy. Thank you very much, Suzanne. The way I see Facebook walls, particularly Facebook walls, is, Facebook walls and communities are extensions of our living room, and I would never go into your living room and shit on it. That's just the way my mother raised me. So we are going to continue to do this and behave accordingly. Let us switch to some other things. And before we switch to the weather, let me bring up carrot weather, which I forgot to turn on this morning. Going once, going twice, and here we go. It rained, and I think it's still raining, guys. I think it's wonderful. It rained all night, and it feels fresh this morning. A dear friend of mine, and I thought to myself, what a nice feeling. What a nice feeling. It is 79 degrees, although humidity is very high, 87%. We are going to have a very cloudy day, and there is 44% chance of precipitation. So let it continue raining through the day because it's a wonderful, wonderful feeling to feel the freshness of the air. And yes, it is humid. We don't want it, but it's raining, and raining is the rain is a wonderful thing because it makes our hills and mountains green. It makes nature take over. It is just it is a beautiful part of the time of the year, and I know that a lot of people shy away from Puerto Vallarta during the summer months because it's hot and humid, and you're right, it's not always the most comfortable time to be here. But you can't beat our exposure to nature and things like that. So going on to some leisurely things, remember that cannabis related event that I mentioned a few days ago? Well, it turns out that this is the first massive event to come back to Puerto Vallarta. It is expected that 2,100 participants, well, 2,100 participants have already subscribed to the event. So they're going to be, of course, staying in hotels, which will nurture our economy. The event is going to take place between the 30 between October 30th and the 2nd of November. The event is called Mayan Haze 2020. We flashed their website the other day, and it's an event that is designed to raise awareness about cannabis as for medicinal purposes and other purposes. And you may consume cannabis, you may not consume cannabis, but what is important is that the local government is opening up for the possibility of these massive events to take place. I am sure that this is being done in a very careful way, and massive events are important for our city's economy. We don't realize that, but meeting-based tourism is very, very valuable to Puerto Vallarta. So I hope that this event goes off well. I hope that all the necessary measures to prevent to follow health guidelines are followed, and I hope that this is the first of several events of that nature that continue to come back to our city. Another leisurely type headline, or maybe not so leisurely, is that the local government has put together a new council to support the Institute of Culture, or the Cultural Institute in Puerto Vallarta. The Cultural Institute of Puerto Vallarta is, of course, the entity that decides how resources in our city are going to be used to enhance the cultural activities in the city. It is a council and it's an institute that has gone through all kinds of scrutiny, particularly by local culture movers and shakers. I think what is important about this particular announcement is that there are new people that are going to be involved. Some of the people involved include Jorge Telles Lopez, who is the director of the university, and he's going to be represented by Paola Cortés. The director of the Institute of Culture, Marina de los Santos Alvarez, is also part of this committee, obviously. She draws a lot of comments, favorable and unfavorable. We could dive a little bit into this whole topic at some point if you wanted. Also involved is Felix Fernando Baños Lopez, who is a very well-respected cultural scholar here in the city. And also involved is Raúl Gibran Martínez Peña, who is a poet. Eva Contreras Sandoval. I don't know what she's doing there. She is the wife of what's his face that owns Garza Blanca and owns the Tribuna de la Bahía, etc., etc. Jose Abel Villa Fernandez is also part of this council. He is the founder and first sponsor of the school, the music school orchestra that we were talking about just a few days ago. With our friend Miguel Almaguer. Of course, all these people being public figures, they have fans, followers, and they have people that don't necessarily agree with their opinion. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this new council. Paul mentions Eva Contreras seriously. And again, yes, there are some people who may or may not agree of her. Again, I'm just sharing the news. We'll have to see what comes out of this. And I'm very excited about the next news item, which is El Chepe resumes trips on 17th of July at 50% capacity. Let me tell you about this. And we started talking about this the other day. El Chepe is this wonderful scenic train that goes from Chihuahua to the Pacific coast that we talked about just a few days ago. And I asked you if you wanted to know more about this particular trip by writing the word Chepe on your comments, and you did. That did not go unnoticed. The reason we haven't gone back to the Chepe is because I'm waiting to get together with my dear friend and our dear friend Candace Shaw, because she's taken the Chepe and has wonderful stories to share about the train ride. And let me tell you just very briefly about it. I'm going to share some information. Again, Chepe is the Chihuahua-Pacifico train. It is, think about it as a commuter train, because the train goes through the mountains, stops at small little towns that are only accessible by this train. Some of the most magical towns in Mexico are along the route of the train. There are two trains, actually. There is the the normal train, which is less expensive to ride, and there is the luxury train, which has a fancier restaurant and so forth and so on. The way these trains work is you hop on any city, and you pay an amount, and then you have, I think, 2 or 3 cities that you can choose to stop at. So if you stop at little pueblo number 1, you can stay at that pueblo as long as you want, and then maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days later, when you've toured that little pueblo enough, you hop on the train again and you continue on your journey. So it is a wonderful way to explore a canyon that is a lot larger, and I'm not making that up, than the Grand Canyon in the United States. There are advantages for doing Chepe in the summertime because the surrounding nature looks a certain way, and then there are advantages of doing it during the winter months because it's cold. It's cold. It's high up in the mountains. And it goes, again, all the way from Chihuahua City to the Pacific coast. And there are essentially 2 ways to do the train. You can do your own research and figure out where you want to go and where you want to get on and get off the train, or you can take a tour. And there are tours offered by many travel companies in English and Spanish. So again, we will be coming back to Chepe at some point in the near future, and it's something that I haven't done yet, and it's definitely on my bucket list. I also want to follow up on this creature that we read about yesterday, this enormous beast that was found, that found rather the beaches of San Pancho and has been chilling there since the weekend. It turns out that it is a southern elephant seal. The scientific name for that is Mirunga leonina, and from what I read, health officials have had a chance to examine him or her, and the animal seems to be in good health. He is estimated to be, he's a male. He's about 5 years of age. So according to the writing, he's a sub-adult. So he must be a teenager little creature that decided to just go on a journey. He is not bruised in any way. He has no signs of having any type of illness. And apparently he's just been chilling on the beach, and then he went back into the ocean to refresh himself and went back and is just chilling on the beach. Needless to say, authorities have appealed to the population to, not get close to the animal, and I am sure that they are trying to find healthy ways and safe ways to take him back to where he came from, or where he should be, rather. Yesterday, we also reported that Ennio Morricone passed away, the famous, wonderful Italian film composer. He was 91 years of age. There's been a lot written about his passing, including a very touching letter that he left for his wife as a goodbye and his family. And I found this article on Informador that shows YouTube links to some of his film scores, some of his most renowned film scores, which include The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And we all know that tune. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do. Well, that's Ennio Morricone. He also wrote the gorgeous film track to Cinema Paradiso. And if you haven't seen that film, or if you're not familiar with that music, it is absolutely spectacular. And of course, Once Upon a Time in America, The Untouchables, The Mission, that's another gorgeous film and another gorgeous film score. So I'm going to share this with you so that you can enjoy this music. These are all YouTube links, so you don't have to purchase the music. If you want to enjoy a nice rainy day at home, I'd consider listening to some of these soundtracks. And my last headline for you was another good nature-oriented headline. In Cozumel, the number of sea turtles that have come to their beaches to lay their eggs has increased up to 260% because we are not using the beaches. Isn't that wonderful? Now, turtle season hasn't started here in in Puerto Vallarta, or maybe it's about to start. So it'll be interesting how to see how the lack of use or our lack of presence on the beach um, alters the number of hatchlings that we see this year. As you know, turtles, sea turtles, the olive ridley variety, have been coming to the our coasts, the Banderas Bay coasts, and surrounding areas north and south of Puerto Vallarta for centuries. For thousands of years to lay down their eggs. There are many turtle protection programs in hotels here in the Bay. One of the most popular one is the one at the Marriott, where you can actually go and watch them protect the hatchlings, and you can participate in helping them go back to the sea when it's time to do that. There's another fabulous turtle camp in Maito. We were talking about Maito with an accent on the I a few days ago. The turtle camp there are is really a wonderful place to go and visit when you go to Maito, particularly when it is turtle season. So that is the news for today. Let me take a quick look at your last minute comments. Again, I want to acknowledge as many of you as I possibly can. Boom, bidding, bam, 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 bam. I see somebody saying his test is positive, according to CNN. I don't know if this refers to the president of Brazil, because I cannot read your comments in sequence as you can. If that is the case, I see. Microsoft News just reported that Brazilian president tested positive for COVID-19. That is unfortunate. Again, we don't wish disease on anyone. Oh dear, it's a complicated thing, because you don't want to wish anybody any hurt. But some people, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Okay, so let's see. La 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 la. Um, Gustavo wonders if our president actually had the COVID-19 test done. Maybe he had the quick test done. As you know, there are two types of tests. I believe there's one called the antiviral that takes like several days to get results. There's the other one that I got when I got sick, in which they pinch you and you get results immediately. I understand that it's not as accurate as the test that takes a few days. But again, we have to find out what is going on with that situation, and we will, I am sure. Trisha, hello Trisha. Chepe is fabulous. I see a lot of people commenting on the Chepe. I am so envious of you, but in a good way. Logan says he wants to go to the El Chepe. Let us all go to El Chepe. Astrid, who's of course a tour guide and involved in creating wonderful experiences for us through her tours. There are a lot of changes with the train. It does not go every day anymore. Well, Astrid, maybe you can come on the show someday. If anybody doesn't know Astrid, you should all know Astrid. Astrid, I'm going to give a huge shout out to her. I am honored to consider her my friend. She runs a company here in town called Superior Tours Vallarta. And she started like as a small operation. And now she does all kinds of wonderful things. I remember taking her shopping trip to Guadalajara. She does these great tours in which you go on a van and they pamper you to the ninths and tenths and you to the max, because you get cocktails on the van or the bus. And if you've changed the way you run your tours, please let me know. But I remember going on a shopping trip with you, and we were on this bus, and we were allowed to bring some of our own refreshments, and we stopped at Tequila, and we visited an hacienda, and then we continued on to Guadalajara. We stayed at a great hotel, and then while in Guadalajara, the van or the bus takes you to important places where you can go shopping, and you can shop for all your chachkas, and then you can put your chachkas in the bus, and then you come back 2 days later. So it's a great opportunity to get to see Guadalajara if you don't speak Spanish, because these are tours that are offered for the English speaking community. So, again, if you don't know Astrid, if you don't know Superior Tours, my big shout out to her. And Astrid, if you ever want to come on the show and tell us a little bit about what you're offering, I would love to have you. And if other people that are watching would love to know more about Astrid, just write it in your comments. I sure hope you do, because she is one of the wonderful people in this town that loves sharing her experience and expertise about Mexico with those that feel like they want to see more of the country. Um, I see excellent article on NPR. I don't know what that is about, Karen, but if you can share a headline, a URL with us, that would be wonderful. Much appreciated. Um, there are having turtle releases now in Nuevo Vallarta. Again, if you haven't had the opportunity to participate in a turtle release program, it changes you as a human being. It changes you when you realize that you can be part of, you hold these little turtles in your hand and you get to put them in the ocean. And it sounds like nothing, but when you stop to think of it, it really is a powerful experience. I wish it on everybody. I really, really do. What time of the year is best for El Chepe? Well, Terry, we're either going to find out from Astrid, or we're going to find out from Candace, or hopefully we're going to find out from both sometime in the near future. Stacy expects a live interview with Astrid. She sounds interesting. She's amazing. And of course, we have something pending with Beach Crossers. We were going to get together, and then things got complicated, but I haven't forgotten about Beach Crossers. Let's have Astrid on the show. Yay. Debbie says, yay, Superior Tours. There you go, Astrid. I'm going to be calling you in the next few days. Astrid, see, a lot of great. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Astrid has saved my hide many of times over the years, says Logan Miller. There you go. This is what I like about what we do here. And oh my God, it's 11:17. Let's get out of here. Thank you. Thank you so much, because what you share with me and with the rest of this community is what Coffee and Headlines is about. I cannot thank you enough for joining me and joining the rest of this community on a daily basis. I cannot thank you enough for nurturing me and for helping me remember how important you are. So moving forward, I will continue to endeavor to create a safe, kind, gentle, funny, inspiring, trustworthy environment here. If I ever fail to do that, just slap me. Have a great day.